Emily Wilde #2 just came out this morning, so I'm now done work and I'm gonna be heading on over to the good old bookstore. We're gonna pick it up, and we're also gonna pick up a bunch of other books because you can't just buy one book, you know? So let's go do that. Emily Wilde. I'm so excited. I am so excited about this. So, Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands just came out, and I'm just about to crack open the book and start reading it. And so that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm very excited. I have very high expectations because the first one was just so good. I read it pretty much on like the car ride, like a really long car ride I was on. It was just like amazing. So I'm really excited to see the characters again. I really like that it's in like a different kind of part of the world. It's usually like an icy kind of area, and I think that's cool because there's like some culture that they integrate in there, which is so fun. And the relationship between Emily and Bambleby, I think that's how you say his name, Bambleby, something like that. And so I love watching them just interact with each other, and I think we're gonna see more of the cute little fairy that we kind of befriended in the first book. And I think we're gonna have some pretty cool action-packed stuff, and I think we're gonna find some like portals and realms that we can kind of go through and kind of explore more of like the fairy universe. So let's start reading. Morning. I'm 100 pages into the new Emily Wilde book, and it is so good. I love the footnotes, like all of the thought, like you can tell that there's so much thought and planning that was put into this entire series, and like the folklore with the fairies and all that. And I just love, like, it instantly went right into the story. Like it wasn't like 100 pages of like nothing. It was like, okay, yep, here's the characters, and boom, here we go. Now the story's starting again. So I really like that. It's very just like, because you know sometimes like a sequel or whatever afterwards is like, I find it takes a little bit before it actually gets into what that like book is going to be about. This one didn't do that. It just went whoo, right into it. So that's good. Plus, just like watching Wendell and Emily interact is always just like, it just makes me so happy. I love that. I don't know why I was calling him Bambleby earlier at the beginning of the video. I just couldn't remember his name. Like, do you do that? Like, I read a lot of books and then I forget all the characters' names, but I remember like what happened. But I'm just horrible at remembering like who the characters were, even if I love the character, like I love Wendell. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on right now. I'm gonna continue to do some more reading, which I'm really excited about. It's obviously the morning, so I get a little bit to read before I have to go to work. And yeah, so I'll update you. And oh my goodness, I thought that there was gonna be like a one bed kind of situation, but I got excited over nothing. It doesn't, at least right now, there is not a one bed situation, but I thought there was, and I love the one bed situation so much. So yeah, let's continue to read. We are now a little bit more than halfway through the book. I was like, okay, once I get to the halfway point, I'll pause and I'll kind of update you, but then I just kept reading. And that kind of explains how much I love this book. Emily Wilde, number 2. It's as good as the first one so far, which is amazing because like it goes right into the action. You have all your lovable characters. You have all this fairy folklore. The footnotes of this it's so good. The only thing is that sometimes I don't notice like the asterisks, but I know there's a footnote in that page and I'm like, wait, what? And then I have to like figure out what it was talking about. That's the only kind of like downside, that sometimes I miss it because it always seems to be near like a quotation and they just look very similar when they're like next to each other. But everything else is so good. I love just the writing is just so beautiful, and we saw Poe again. I'm so happy. We saw Poe again, and he's as adorable and cute as ever, and he's terrified of Wendell, of course, and it's just like, it's so great. I really like it. I love like the introduction of the different types of fairies again. Like this whole world is just so well done, and it's so complex, and it's all weaving together. I hope there's like 100 books of this because this is amazing. I'm gonna continue to read some more, and I'll probably end up updating you when I'm done because I cannot put this down. I need to read more. So let me give you a bit of a rundown of what's happened so far in Emily Wilde. Now, I'm doing my best to not mention any spoilers, but you might get some if you haven't read the first book, but I'm not going to go into like big specifics, if that makes sense. So this one is all about these assassins kind of going after Wendell after kind of the big reveal that happened in the first book, and they're like trying to find like the fairy door, and so it kind of leads them to like this other kind of snowy village, which we know in the first book there was a snowy village as well, the Winterlands, and so now they're in a different snowy village, which I believe is somewhere in Europe. I think they said it was near Germany or something. I'm not entirely sure because like it's a very hard to pronounce name. And so like they're in there and you get to meet all these characters, and there's this cute little cabin. And what's kind of different about this is that no one goes, like none of the villagers go out at nighttime because the fairies kind of go around, and apparently like they take, like we know before, like in the other one, like the fairies, they take people, but in this one as well, like they're more prone to be walking around and stuff at nighttime, and there's like scratches and stuff on the door, and the villagers have to leave the like offerings at the door. But what's different is that Emily and her kind of like crew, even though they're given offerings, it's still like somebody's really upset and they're trying to break in. So like every single day the scratches get worse. There's like the lock is all kind of weird, and someone has been trying to like get through, and at one point Emily like touches the handle as soon as like the sun rises, and it was warm, like somebody had already like just been touching it recently, and like whoo, that gave me chills, to be honest. And so like she and Wendell are basically trying to figure out like, okay, where's the door? And they're also kind of trying to solve this like mystery about a woman named Daniela de Silver, and she was like this pretty well-known professor who's now being discredited, and she disappeared 50 years ago in this village where Emily and her kind of like friends are at right now, like investigating. And so they're investigating that, and there's also this guy with like ribbons who's been following her around since she was in Cambridge, and he keeps on changing ages. So like sometimes he's old, sometimes he's a little bit younger, sometimes he's a little bit older, but not as old as the first time, and like he'll kind of give her some information and stuff. And so they're trying to figure out this mystery in hopes of finding the door to the Summerland. So it's action-packed, and I am absolutely loving it. It's Friday night and I just finished Emily Wilde #2 of the Emily Wilde series, and oh, I love this book. And even like the cover, like it doesn't have one of those annoying dust covers, which is nice because like it's a hard cover. And this tells you so much about the story, and there's like so many hints, like there's characters and symbols and stuff that happens in the book here that I didn't notice until obviously like I read the book and I was like, I like it because it's not spoiling it, but like you understand it after. So I love when authors do that to the covers. So this one was really good as well. The first one, you had like a lot of introduction, you had characters, and like you really understand the danger of the fairies. And then this one is more focused on like trying to find that door to get into the Summerlands, and then like what the Summerlands is like, and like what the queen is like, and that kind of whole interaction of stuff, and like new creatures, and of course the writing, amazing. And so I really liked it. There were some characters, so at first I was like, why is this Rose guy here? Like he's so useless, like he didn't really do much or anything. But then I realized that he is like a representation of like the older scholars who are like, they're afraid of taking risks, but they're so well versed in like the folklore. And then Emily like represents the newer kind of generation, and so does like De Silver and the guy with the ribbons, like they're kind of like the old generation. And then Emily and her niece are like the newer generation. Like her niece is like the new generation. But it was really cool to be able to see the different generations, because at first I was like, these like kind of new characters are kind of useless, but then I realized like what they were all about, and then I'm like, you know what, that's actually pretty great. I really like that. It was also really great to see more of like Wendell's magic, like the stuff that he can do, and just like him in general, because he's so entertaining and he's so lazy, and I love it. And I love like the relationship development between Emily and Wendell, and I love that like sometimes he'll save her, but then she'll save him, so it's not like she's just a damsel in distress. Like she's really smart in the way that she like figures things out, and is always another step ahead when it comes to interacting with fae or anybody really, and she's always like that other step ahead. And there's stuff that happens in the book that I was like, whoa, like I didn't expect that to happen, because like when you read a lot of books you kind of recognize like patterns and foreshadowing. And this one, I'm not going to spoil it, of course, because it surprised me, but the scratching at the door that I mentioned earlier in this video, I was shocked at the reveal of what creature that was. So that was super amazing, and it was just really great. So I really love this book. My only complaint, and this is because I am an avid romance reader, is that the scene with the tent, I felt like it was what happened with two characters in Throne of Glass and what he did. If you know, you know. But I really wish that we had pages of what happened in that tent, because it was more like a Lorcan did kind of thing, or Lorcan, or whatever his name is, however you say that name. I don't know how to say names out loud. I hear them in my head, can't read them, but you know what I mean if you know what I mean. And so I was a little disappointed in that, and there was the opportunity for the one bed kind of scenario, but I mean, that's just me, and that's just the stuff that I like. But other than that, everything else is perfect. So Heather Fawcett, if you are watching this video, please come to Ontario and do a book signing, because I would love for you to sign my beautiful Emily Wilde books, and I want to know when the third book comes out, because I'm obsessed with this beautiful, gorgeous, well-written, captivating story and the world. And the third book, I know it's gonna focus more on actually being in faerie, because like these two books, they've gone like in faerie, then they're back in the mortal world, and then they're in faerie, and they're back in the mortal world and stuff. So you get to see like that, but I have a feeling that the third one is going to be really focused on like what faerie is like. It's so secretive and dangerous, and like who are those, like who was that, like there was the human who helped her out, but he was like in the fairy world, so like why did he help her out? Like I want to know. Like I'm so excited to see more about that character and like the further development, and I really hope there's like 100 books, but I saw somewhere that there might only be 3, but I really hope that's not the case, because I just want to read this series forever. So Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, I would give it 5 stars, as good as the first one, and I'm really happy about that, because sometimes the first one is just so good that everything afterwards just isn't as good. And sometimes though, like The second is not as good, but then the third is even better. And I found that when I was reading the Blood and Ash series. Blood and Ash number 1, good. Second one, it was okay. Third, fourth, plus, oh my goodness, best than ever. Like, I think about that series daily, and I'm still waiting for the next book to come out, which I know comes out in the next few months or so from when I'm recording this. So, or is it maybe in a month? It's either in February. It's soon. So that's one of those series that the second book wasn't as good, but everything else was really great. But for this one, the first and second are comparable. So I love the story. If you love fantasy and beautiful writing and great characters and again, beautiful writing, incredible folklore, like it's so, mwah, I love it so much. So I highly recommend this series if you're into that. So thanks so much for watching. If you like book videos, book vlogs, anything in the realm of books, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. So with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!